Welcome to Y Education on 90.1 KBPK. Yeah, that's right. I'm the old guy, and as you see, today I've got quite a few guests sitting with me, and I brought in theater people before. You know that's where part of my roots are. I've got that background in sports. I've got the background in theater. We can go over and start talking mathematics or everything. But I have a love for the theater department here at Fullerton College. I grew up in it. And I love what we have done for all these years, educating young students like all the people to my left. And they have a production that's coming up. It's going to be a little wild when we go that and get to the production. We're going to talk about it. And so I have people that are in the cast. I have people that are going to be directing. Could have a couple technical people here. And the new production, and you're the student director, right?
I'm the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusivity Director.
Okay, there we go. I'm glad he said it. So I'm going to go down the road, let everybody introduce themselves, and then we're going to talk about the production that will be coming up here at Fullerton College within the next few weeks, the way I understand it. It's right around the corner. So let's just go right down the road. Tell me who you are and what you're going to be doing in this upcoming production.
All right. Hello. My name is Alexander Keller. I pronounce he, him. I am the assistant fight choreographer, and also I am playing the role of Sir Theo the Punctual.
Hello, my name is Ellie Luke. I use they, them pronouns, and I am this production's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusivity Director.
Hello, my name is Andrew Turpett. I play the role of Little John, pronouns he, him, and I'm just having a great time.
Hi, my name is Bella Zuniga. I play Marion / Robin Hood. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm so excited to show off my stage combat skills in this show.
Hi, my name is Tobias Tang. Pronouns are he, him, and I'll be playing Sir Lenny the Observant.
Hi, my name is Ashley Calderon. I will be playing guard number 1, and my pronouns are she, her, and I'm really excited to be in a stage combat theme show.
Hello, I am the one with the weird name. My name is Jai Mar Davis, so it's Hi with the J, so Jai. I am guard 2, and I am excited to just fight and never die, because Jai never dies.
So as you get it, you've already heard it mentioned. Somebody said, oh, wait a minute, Little John, I sort of made Marion. That's right, it's Robin Hood. But for us older people that are watching this today, and we think of Robin Hood, that mythical character, yeah, based in folklore, may be real, may not be real. Nobody's ever decided that through the years. Robin of Nottingham, whoever it might be, Errol Flynn, Sean Connery, and yeah, even the guy that went to Cal State University Fullerton. I can't even talk about that college. I'm a Long Beach guy. Kevin Costner. All of them played Robin Hood. And even when we think of Men in Tights. And yet, this play has got a strange little twist to it because, well, let's get right into it. I'm going to go to Maid Marian, and I'm going to be talking to all of you about it because Maid Marian is the main theme, or at least I believe she is when I read the synopsis of the play. And so give me a little background about your character in this play and how you view your character in this play.
Okay, so it's really interesting the way it goes. I see a lot of myself in Marion and Robin just because of how confident he and she is, the way both of them are, because they are essentially the same person. I see Robin Hood as Marion taking her power from Prince John, because Prince John kind of just treats her like she's an object, and obviously she shows him otherwise. It's a very big power struggle between the two of them throughout the show that we've worked really hard on. And yeah, I just see Robin as, in the time, you know, women did not have the same rights as men did, and that's how I see Marion, is taking those rights back, being a man.
So we're going to say then, underlying, there's a gender statement in this play. I'm going to assume the play is a comedy. I didn't hear anybody in here say they're singing, so I don't know if there is musical parts in it. No?
No.
Kind of
A little bit.
Fuzzy, like a dash.
Okay, so in it, but we have that theme to it. Of course, the thing that's interesting is the largest person sitting here is playing Little John. No offense, but I mean, let's just be very honest about that. So I'm going to go to your character next, because traditionally when we've seen Little John being in other productions of it, especially on the screen, it's always that larger fellow who's more jovial, who owned the forest before Robin ever showed up. He was king of the forest, and Robin takes it away from us. Is that theme in there at all when we look at this play?
In the sense that the name being a play on how large Little John is, yes. He's still very jovial and happy to be around. However, there's no animosity between Little John and Robin, in the sense that I never owned the forest to begin with. I look at it as going a little further back in the myths. I came down from Scotland specifically to join the Merry Men. Ran into Robin, liked what I saw, joined. Then I saw Maid Marian, and I made the connection of, hey, she looks like she's really getting along with Robin, so there's a little bit of a friendly rivalry of romance in there. But Little John isn't smart enough to figure out all the details.
So do we have a doppelganger of Robin Hood? So we have a male Robin Hood in this play, or it's always just you? Of course, I see shaking the heads of the women. No, guys, it's all about us. So do you play a dual role in this then? You still play the traditional Maid Marian and then the traditional Robin Hood?
No. So Robin Hood is kind of like an alias for Marian. So we are the same person. There's a lot of scenes where the two worlds collide, of Nottingham and the Sherwood Forest. But yeah, so there's times where I have to change a lot on stage in costumes. Like there is a scene where I'm shackled up as Robin Hood, but I get out because someone helps me, and all of my clothes are on the floor, and Prince John comes in and he's like, "Where's Robin Hood?" And I'm like, "Oh, he jumped out the window. I don't know." And he just doesn't put the two and two together because of how how I keep my secret a secret.
Okay. You know, I've got and I'm going to say, when you talk about diversity, so you're the agent of diversity in the play and everything. Of course, when you look at stage compared to film, you will always find there are theater companies that go way back. ACT in the old days used to do diversity. They would have a play that should have an all-black cast, they'd have an all-white cast, and the main character that should have been black all of a sudden becomes something else. I think that when they talk about diversity, that just goes hand in hand with theater. So I've got to ask you, when you brought that up, I've got to ask you what your role is in the theater company.
Wow. This show in specific features a lot of what we say is breaking gender norms.
Okay.
We take what traditional people think of, well, there's Robin Hood and Maid Marian, and we marry the two. Robin Hood is Maid Marian. Robin Hood is Maid Marian. Like, there is a line that we like to play with, that we make a statement on what gender norms are. Gender is something that society puts onto people, and in this play, we poke fun of that. We show the audience that maybe gender isn't as firm as we know. And so I was brought on to help with intimacy, I was brought on to help with different gender issues, I was brought on to help with certain things with the script. I'm there to make sure that our audience maybe learns something after they leave this story beyond bows and arrows and swords.
So let me follow up with that, because that's really interesting, because maybe if you had an older cast, it might not be as easy. So you come in, somebody's doing a scene or something, what would you add? I mean, actors usually pick what their character is about. They'll do the backstory on their character. They'll dig into the role itself. They might use history. They might use the character who may be in another book, that same character, and use that to create their character on stage. So what would you do in saying you wanted to do that? How do you work with these actors that are next to you when you look at something and say, can I suggest this is what you do? Do you do a justification statement, or what did you do with them to try and get them to go in your direction?
Well, I think a lot of it's about having conversations. I've had conversations with, I think, everyone in this room about their characters, about while we were making our character analysis, while we were forming what we want to play as, what our sexualities are, what our genders are. We were working very intimately together in order to not only create something that is accurate to how an actor wants to portray their character, but is also in a way that is constructive and in a way that for this older audience, we can show them something and help them maybe understand something, maybe learn something.
I like how you pointed at me when you said that older audience.
I was gesturing in general. If it lands towards you, I don't know. You're the OG. I mean, you're the OG.
I appreciate that. I didn't want everybody to think I was your age and just, so too often. I'm going to go down to the end because when we talk about roles, somebody says, well, I'm Marion and I'm Little John, and then you get down to something down there and they go, I'm guard number 1. I always got a kick out of that because always in the old days, and I hope still they teach it today, where they always say, there's never a small role on stage. So as an actor, and I've seen you around the campus a great deal. I walk over to your quad all the time. I've seen you be the typical theater people that you embrace each other. Hate to put it that way, but that's the way it is. Theater people are their own community within themselves. And the thing that I find very interesting is I know you've been in other productions. So do you as an actor sit there and go, I wish I could be that, or you just want to be part of that? And I've got to ask you because you said, I'm guard number 1.
Well, I'm guard number 2.
This is
It's okay. It's, for me, I like being a part of productions, and I just figured out. I figured this out this week because I was running through all of the scene changes and moving the bed and stuff. I work better when I'm a part of when I'm a part of a lot of the show, because instead of having to, okay, this line is when I move the bed here. If I'm a part of it, I can already just be like, I already know what's happening. But it's easier, but like being a part of the production and just being available for whatever Michael or the directors or Ellie wants us to do, I'm totally fine with that. And like even if I had one line, I'd be fine, because my understudy role, I have one scene that I have lines in, but I'm so determined to do perfect on it that it's just like, it doesn't matter the size of the role. Like if I'm there, I want to do the job that people want me, that like Michael, the director, wants me to do, and I try to push further than that. So it's not the role, it's just, if I'm in it, I'm gonna do what I'm expected.
Marion, I need to ask you, name the title of the play and when does the dates open, so those that are watching this show here on 90.1 KBPK know when to show up to see this wonderful cast and crew here at Fullerton College show you another spectacular show on Main Stage Theater.
All right, so it's called Marion, or The True Tale of Robin Hood, and we open October 6th, and we only run one weekend. We're October 6th through 8th, so there's only 3 chances to see us, and it is a fantastic show that I recommend everyone comes and sees.
And of course, when we say Robin Hood, of course, next to me is the gentleman that choreographs all the combat on stage. The thing that's very interesting, let's see if I'm right on this, I studied fencing, and the first time I ever met anybody like you as a combat coordinator, you walk in and you go, oh, well, I study fencing, and the first thing they do is they go, what you know is not what we're going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to teach you something completely different. So the first time they pick up any instrument, was it hard to convince everybody, I don't care what you see, I don't care what you think you know, let's get it out of your mind? Did you have to have nothing but blank pages from all these individuals to teach them what to do?
So, one correction, Roxanne Westerlin is the fight choreographer.
Oh, okay.
I'm her assistant.
Okay.
I'd say 80% of the show is Roxanne's choreography, and then like 8% of it is Michael's. Or wait, no, what did I say, 80? So then 10%, 15% is Michael's, and then 5% is mine. So that's been a great experience. But in terms of the cast and teaching everyone how to fight, a couple people in here have fight experience already. So Bella, Toby, Ashley, Jymar, they all have taken the stage combat classes.
Okay.
and that's pretty much it in the cast. Oh, sorry.
We just had class together.
Fighting is a former Marine. He can take out all of us. Wow. I am so sorry. Here, let me hold your hand.
Little John.
I thought I was forgettable. Oh, this is good.
I heard his heart break from here.
I leave. Debbie was like, I know.
Take two. So a couple of us have fight experience here. Starting with Andrew Turpin, former Marine, great swordsman, and everyone else I already listed. And so I didn't really have to show them anything because they already know. And so choreographing stuff with them was pretty easy. But then with the majority of the rest of the cast, there's people who never did any sports, don't really have a lot of, they're not used to moving their body in certain ways. And there's also some people who might have taken Taekwondo. So they're very confident in their own body and their abilities. But when it comes to stage combat stuff, when we focus on safety and making sure that we're not actually trying to hit our friends who we're fighting against, they're full on swinging at their friends the first time they're using the swords. And they're like, whoa, hold on, you gotta make sure you're sending that energy past them and not straight into them. So it's been a wild ride, making sure that everyone is able to safely fight while also making it look real enough for the audience to be like, oh my god, they almost died! It's been a fun journey.
There we go. When we look at this show, and I'm going to look at all of you as we go down it, because you all have specific roles and everything else. One person I got to get to before I move on, though, because we talked about doing Y Education on here, and somebody asked me, well, where do we see it at? And when I told him, he goes, well, my folks aren't going to really be able to understand it. And of course, you're sitting down there in the middle of this cast. I'm imagining you're bilingual.
Yes.
As somebody. So I find this very interesting. You have parents that maybe don't speak English. I'm assuming they understand English. Am I wrong?
A little bit.
A little bit. So you look at mom and dad and you walk in and you tell them you're a theater person. For 90% of the people that come out of high school, most of the parents will look at kids that say they want to go into high school. It even happened to me. Why do you want to do that for a living? It's hard to make money. This is all true. And yes, it is. All these statements are true. It's the toughest industry to work in. Most of the people do not work. You don't work on a daily basis. You don't qualify for health care. Yada, 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 yada. So I look at you, and of course you smile at me. So you look at mom and dad and say, oh, by the way, I'm in theater, and this is what I want to do. This is the group that I hang out with. They don't want to do it. And mom and dad look at each other. They might not speak English, but I'm sure I know what they were saying in the back of their mind. So has that been a unique experience for you?
I don't know. Okay.
Well, there's a plot twist.
Well, it's been a very unique and bizarre experience because I have actually never told my parents that I'm actually in theater and want to be an actor. In fact, even now they still think I am doing business or medicine. And the thing is that because of the reason of I know because of their background in history, especially living in through tough times of communist China, like the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution, I know they are very rooted into wanting the best for me and also just for overall the family in having a safe job because they've seen countless people die from starvation because of the dictators in communist China when the Republic of China first started. So knowing that, however, I just felt like I couldn't do it. I couldn't sit at my desk and work on paperwork for endless of hours. And so I knew I had a gift in martial arts as something that was life-changing for me physically, mentally, and it helped me gain more confidence, become more fit. And so knowing that I have a gift in martial arts, I wanted to find a way to make that into something of a life goal or a mission or a purpose even. And so even in modern times, as example, I'm the only Asian guy here, so it goes to show that Eastern, especially Asian tradition, is very have a very negative view towards art and theater because, as you mentioned, it's not a safe job because it does not guarantee employment or income or status or whatever it is. So knowing that, I wanted to pursue this without having any major obstacles. So I decided to, kind of go undercover. And so that bizarre experience comes from just day-to-day basis of random things I did not expect. Because last year, from literally 1 year ago, I was perfectly fine taking acting classes. But then things happened of like, my mother wanted to take English as second language courses here. And so I had to start wearing disguises on campus so I can go to my classes without being questioned like, hey, where are you going? Do you want to hang out for a second? And then also, like my father would come on campus just to walk around for exercise. And there were a few moments I almost got caught. And I had some people here that helped me plan it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Business majors. How's
Yeah.
that math final, Toby?
Yeah, that's good. So yeah, it's just I understand that many, even just Asian Americans or Asians in general, have a very tough time knowing what they want in life, and I wish to. It doesn't matter how, let's say, successful I become. I just wish that the path I take can be either inspiration or a symbol to everyone else who really had a passion and heart toward putting their heart to something, but never having the courage to step through, because there's not many of us that really go into the acting industry.
Very interesting. This is Why Education on 90.1 KBPK. I'm with student actors. I like to call them student athletes too because I had the assistant choreographer for combat fighting for anybody that has been involved in a play, especially here at Fullerton College. And I go back a lot of years. In the old days, we were told by Todd Glenn, don't ever miss a rehearsal. The only reason you cannot be here is if you're dead. This is serious. Nobody laughed at that statement because we literally had somebody that one time broke their leg. They were supposed to play a lead, soaked the cast off their leg the night before and wrapped it up themselves personally and then walked on stage. Everybody looked and said, oh, you're okay? Oh yeah, my doctor cleared it. We found out after the show the doctor did not clear it, as he was basically out there to broke a leg. We were so scared not to show up, and we can never say, hey, I didn't show up, or not turn in an assignment. If an instructor said, why didn't you turn that in? Well, I'm in a play at Fullerton. They would call, the theater department would send it out to all department heads. If you ever get one of my actors that say that, call us. You would get called in and told, this is your first warning. If you do this again, you're out of the production. So these are athletes sitting next to me, academic athletes and student athletes, because of what they do and the hours that they put into this show. It's real interesting. You tell the story about yourselves. I've got a Marine sitting next to me. My dad was a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. So he's not a former Marine, he's a Marine. And my dad had to come see one of my plays that I was doing here. Now I realize my dad, we're going way back. And my dad lived in '94, and we did Boys in the Band. Our director was gay. He's a famous director in Europe, and he decided he wanted to give it a slant where it was very pro-gay play, where if you read Boys in the Band and the theme behind it, and the main character wants to basically call everybody out because he doesn't really want to admit he's gay, and he wants to make fun of the other people that are. So my director decided Harold, I was the married man that was also gay, was going to give a passionate kiss to another man on stage. And I had to tell my dad, we did it in the intimate theater. I had to tell my dad, we used to actually have a dinner and everything else baked for us by a baker. So when you came to see our play, the smell of the food would waft. We had cake. And I had to tell my dad, hey, I just need to let you know, I don't want you getting shocked, but at the end of the play, I'm going to be in a mad embrace with a kid that's about 19 years old. And it's going to be an extremely passionate kiss, so don't freak out on me while I'm on stage. So I understand that. My dad enjoyed the play. He loved the play. He had a great time in it. But it's one of those things that you say. And in being in this industry all my life, yes, I had a mother that was a business major that always looked at me and said, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to do this? I was fortunate. I made a living at it. So I understand the dilemma, not only of you, but everybody sitting in this room has a parent or a relative or a friend that says, you're at theater? Why? There's no theater in Los Angeles, and in our day, that was the statement. Theater's New York and Chicago, not Los Angeles. It has changed over the years. I don't want to keep you guys here all day. Well, I would. I would keep you here all day if I could. I've got to ask, you looked at this play, and I'm going to ask each actor that's here, because I find one of the things that's very unique for actors. You may do the same play I do. You may do the same character that I do. Yet I go see your play, you go see my play, we have friends that both see it, and they go, wait a minute, your role wasn't like that. So, what did you as an actor, and all of you can answer, because I'm assuming that all of you have been actors at one time or another, because you have to do everything if you're going to be in theater, and you have to do everything if you want to work in theater, because that might be your niche to do that, not that. What do you bring as actors to your role? And let's just go around the room. I'm going to start there. When you look at your roles, what do you do? What do you personally, and be honest with me, what do you bring when you're an actor to a role?
Well, the first thing I do, and it's for assignment, but I took my character, and instead of just like, oh man, he's only guard 2, he dies a lot, and he comes back a lot, I was like, how can I make this so specific to me and my family and my experiences, but make it a totally different person than myself. So my character is sort of like Marion Robin. So my great grandfather started this, and he tried to not make himself be seen hurt or dead. He couldn't let anyone see that, especially the king. So when he died, it was my great grandmother, and then my grandfather, great grandmother, and then it just kept going down the line like that. So he's kind of like the invincible character, and I embodied that. And then I didn't notice. I didn't do it on purpose. Oh, we have to keep Robin going on. I'm gonna do that to myself. It was just how it planned. I don't know what it was, but it was just I want to make my character the invincible person because it goes way back, and I'm assuming that someone who looked like me wasn't somebody who would be a guard specifically for the prince or for the king. Okay. So I was like, how can I make it specific to the time period, but also empower myself? So I'm not oh, I'm sad because I know I'm here and they're gonna treat me bad. How could I empower myself through this moment of an empowering play for a whole bunch of people? And that's what I looked at it when I created the character.
Well, honestly, I was just glad to be a part of things, And when I took a look at my character and everything, I didn't look at man, I only got 8 lines, dang. No, I looked at it as I got a whole story that I'm gonna tell throughout this show, even though I have those lines. And in a way, to try and fall into this theme of Marion, I too, my character, she was the oldest of her family, only girl with 5 younger brothers, and mom was like, you should be in the kitchen doing da-da-da-da-da, and my dad's like, no, let her fight. And I grew up with combat and whatnot, and then eventually my father passes away, and he's like, become a guard at any cost necessary. And I'm assuming, because of the time period, they're like, no women as, knights. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'm gonna go incognito, and thinking I'm the only one doing it, little knowing that Marion's doing it as well. So it's really fun bringing that. Like it's I don't want to say it's the same story because it's not the same story. It's the same theme, but a different story. I was gonna say I died, but yeah, I died.
Okay. Sorry, I won't see you at the end. I apologize.
But you know what? I do come back. Though.
Oh, okay.
Empowering everybody.
Yeah.
A lot of
Except for
guards
me.
look very similar to each other.
Oh, okay, there we go.
I'm the only one who's
It's all in the uniform.
It was just a hard fall, you know. I mean,
Walk it off.
You landed in a bush. You landed in a bush. It's fine.
You bounce back. It was a ball pit down there.
Alright, so my take on my character, Lenny the Observant. Well, one thing I struggled with at first when looking at this character is that, well, myself personally, I am still relatively new as an actor. So I am, compared to, well, most of you guys here, a skill level, I would say, acting-wise, I am lower. Because
That's a lie. That's a lie. That is a lie.
Dare say
That is a
that.
lie.
I only started acting, well, now, fully 1 year. Finally 1 year. So it's kind of hard sometimes to think about what strengths can I bring to the table when playing my character. And one thing I remember director Mueller had told me that this play is very similar to the Italian Commedia dell'arte. And so it's very, as I was in one of his class, that we explore that kind of genre of plays, or and that it's very physical, and we had to do gibberish. So no actual lines, and it's all about just playing out the intention with your body and kind of with your tone. So as a martial artist, I thought that was a great opportunity to use my physical capabilities to help make the character come alive and really put in more comedic flavor in it. So if you're planning to go see the play, I will be on stage doing a lot of incorporating my own knowledge of Chinese wushu and martial arts. So I'll be doing like butterfly kicks, the splits on stage, and like acrobatic works, Chinese straight sword movements, and a lot of sword spinning, kind of like interpreted dance, but with the splash of like combat and also comedic play of just, like someone kicks my leg and I just drop into the splits. And I get back up like nothing happened. And another funny thing is that after reading the script is that I found out my character's title is, well, it's as my partner Sir Theo's lines, it's an ironic moniker. So as the character, I'm somewhat blind. I can't really see that well. And so I use that to my advantage to, instead of delivering my lines in trying to convey that, I use a lot of my body action. So in a lot of the fights, I swing at whoever. Like we have teams. It's the merrymen and the guards. But because my character cannot really see that well, and I'm going to have, I guess, big glasses, I just swing at whatever's nearest to me. And a lot of the times, or just at nothing. And so a lot of the times, even when standing guard, I'll be facing the wrong way or looking around at, like, I don't know, whatever as the character I can see, or just not realizing what's going around. So a lot of it just comes from my physical body movements rather than my lines.
All right.
Go back to
I was just really into Toby's story. Oh God, what was the question?
What do you bring to the table?
Okay. Thank you. I don't know. When I read the play, part of me really wanted to be actually Alana Dale at first because she's the narrator, and I don't know. I've never gotten to play a part like that, and then I read it again, and I just noticed I really resonated with Marion a lot. And I've also never played I've never played a love interest before, and I think the story between Marion / Robin and Little John, because there is a lot of tension between us, and it shows throughout the show a lot, but it's so frustrating because Robin cannot give himself away as Marion to Little John because it potentially puts Marion, who is of high status, in danger. And I just think it is, I don't know, it has a lot of queer representation throughout the whole show, and I think it's very important to portray that without making fun or making it just stereotypical. And Ellie's done a very amazing job of correcting things that may come off a specific way, and sometimes it's just reading out a line, and you don't notice that sometimes when you're delivering your line. Sometimes people slip into something called actor voice and you don't even realize it. So, and Ellie does a great job of not only correcting those things, but explaining why we need to say things the way that we say. And I really do appreciate that, and they have just done an amazing job and has put in so much work into the show to make it, like they said, to make people learn. And I just really enjoy that. I actually was gonna leave last semester. I was supposed to graduate, and after reading the show, so when I started here, I was cast as an understudy, and I got lucky and worked hard, and I got switched with the primary, and I ended up being the primary. And then last semester, I was a swing for some of the lead characters, and I realized after I read the play, this is a character that I resonate with, and I want to put the work that I learned, especially because all of, like, Michael was my acting teacher last semester, and he taught me a lot about method acting, the specific ones, and how to keep it from being dangerous and how to properly use them in your acting. And I guess I use a little bit of everything. I really like using Meisner because it's just very truthful, and I grew up doing a lot of comedy versus like serious stuff. So learning how to be truthful was a struggle for me, and I worked really hard. And I told myself specifically, I said, I don't want to understudy these roles anymore. I want to be these roles, and I think I have a chance if I stay, versus going somewhere and starting fresh at a whole new institution. So.
Well, you'll always learn as an
Yes,
actor.
of course.
There's not a day that you don't quit learning as an actor. Just like with the gentleman sitting next to you, hopefully society, and I'm talking about you as a gentleman, because you brought up what you add to this play, hopefully society learns every day. I say that because I'm somebody that came out of the 60s, and I look at today's, and I'm going to say this to you, I look at today's standards. I went through all this in the 60s, and I thought when I was my age, because I'm in my 70s now, that I would never have to listen to some of the stuff I listen to nowadays. Be it about who somebody is, what their lifestyle is, how they live, what they want to do, where they want to go, you name it. And yet I turn around now and I feel like I'm back in 1969. It's like, wait a minute, where did 50 years go? Nobody learned anything. So, I appreciate the gentleman sitting right here to my left, because he's trying to not only teach the audience.
I'm sorry.
He's not only trying to teach the audience, but he's trying to inform, and please don't take this wrong, but he's trying to inform all of you. As much as we like to all think we're open-minded, as much as we like to always say that, oh yes, I have friends that are, oh yes, I think this way. There's always part of you that is on that gray area. And when you have somebody that can be a friend that's on the outside, talking to you about subject matter, you may not look at something the way he does and go, I never thought of it that way. You might think you're open-minded, but you never thought of it that way. And now it looks at, so I appreciate what you're doing in the play. And that's where you'll continue to grow as an actor, because every role you encounter, you never thought of it that way. A little side note, little trivia, Death of a Salesman. When you look at the stage directions of Death of a Salesman, Willie Loman is classified as a little man. For years, people thought they meant Willie Loman was small in mind, small in attitude. He had an affair. It affected his sons. That it was that. No, actually, when Hoffman did Willie Loman on Broadway, the author finally said, finally, somebody understands it. Willie Loman is a little man. He's small in stature. When those stage directions were written, that's what it meant. And everybody, all the years I played Willie Loman, thought, I thought you meant something else. Nobody ever asked. So even then, for that play, years later, when when Hoffman played it, they finally said, "Oh my God, we thought it meant this." He was actually just describing physically what the actor was. So a lot of us, and that's why, like I said, I found it very interesting when you told me your role, because I thought, geez, I could take him for an hour and talk. So I love the fact that all of you are continuing to learn this role as I go to the gentleman that I should say Semper Fi to. And they've already talked about you being, I already heard it from him, some people hit a little too hard on stage and swung a little too wild. I'm sure we know who that might be here on Y Education on 90.1 KBPK. So I've got to ask, I'm going to give you a little different flavor too as we go into this. Former Marine, so I'm going to say a little older than the people you're sitting next to.
Most of them. I'm 24 compared to 19, 20, early 20s.
Yeah, thanks. You said you were 30 just to make me feel good.
You were trying. I see.
Yeah, you know, he knew what I was doing. See, I should have asked you how old he was, and you could have told me. What brought you to theater?
High school, actually. I fell in love with theater in high school. I came to Fullerton immediately after it, not really knowing what I was doing, not knowing what I wanted to do. So I took an improv class. I enjoyed it. Realized I don't have the means to really further my education by myself. So I took a gap year that ended up being into I have nothing else to do. I'm going to join the military. So joined the Marines, did my 4 years. I never lost my love for theater. I kind of had to repress it. Because there's no, even now and it's starting to get better. There's not really a lot of room for emotion and vulnerability within the military, especially the Marines. It's a very, understandably, combat-centered attitude. It's either me or it's the other guy if it comes down to it. But okay, when you're not outside the wire and you don't need to be in that mindset, what do? You get a lot of guys who get out and they can't get out of that mindset. They can't transition fully back into civilian lives. They are trying to help it with transition readiness seminars. The VA is starting to get better at helping people because it's a lot more attention. You have so many guys not getting the help they need, and it's making the news of their actions. And then you have even actors like Adam Driver. He was a Marine as well, out of Camp Pendleton. He was a mortarman. He got out because of an injury. I just got out from my time. Very different mindsets even between our jobs and just where we were located. But being able to express yourself in a different but still truthful way to who you are, who the character is, and being able to resonate with somebody else in the military who maybe has to repress their love for theater, their sexuality, their gender identity, because there's not a lot of wiggle room when you're in the uniform, and I understand that and the need for it because that's the military. But what happens when you step up, you take off the boots, you take off the uniform? Do you have the support there? And I was lucky in high school to find the support. It was there, and when I came out, now I have everyone around me. I'm not afraid to let myself fall because I know I have people here to help me out.
Okay. Wow, that's another show. This is great. We're going to go an entire hour on this show easily here on Y Education. This is the cast for the play. It's opening on October 6th. It only runs for that weekend. So it's not one of those traditional plays that, oh, I didn't catch it this weekend, I'll go next weekend. Maybe it runs for 4 more days. You got 3 days to see this play. Unique play, a different look at Robin Hood as we know Robin Hood when we've grown up. And that's for everybody, no matter what age you are. If you've seen some version of Robin Hood, it's not this version of Robin Hood that you're going to see with an excellent cast, an excellent crew, a fantastic place to see the theater on Main Stage Theater. It's a great theater to go see a play at. So make sure you're here on October 6th. You will enjoy it. I guarantee it. If I can't guarantee it, I wouldn't be saying it. I know this is a great group of individuals, a great group of young actors. There are some stars, and I'm going to say it like I do in sports. You may be looking at the next generation of those people that win Tonys
Oh my goodness.
on stage.
Flattered.
Hey, I can say that. Greg Franklin. Here's the cast. Greg Franklin Productions. He's doing Kite Runner right now on Broadway. He won a Tony for Emily, so I can say that. A good friend of mine. Used to rep him way back. So Greg, here's some young people you may want to look at.
Hi, Greg.
Oh yeah, you all want to know Greg. So interested. I've got to come back to what you're doing because I've mentioned it twice in what you're adding to this play. Most people would sit there and say, "Wait a minute, I don't get it. I get the actors. I know you have to build sets. I know you got to have a director. You got to have a TD over there calling the shots on when everything happens. Oh, there's combat. I've got to have a combat choreographer. You do what? I don't, and I'm sure there's people that are watching this right now that just go, and I know you've got an actor background and probably a director background, maybe even a writing background, but people are going to say to me, Mark, I really don't know. What did he do? So let's just be blatant about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, to be completely frank, as a non-binary person, I don't identify along the male or female spectrum. I identify somewhere in between. That's why I use they, them pronouns as opposed to he or him, and I use more gender-neutral terms like person instead of like man or woman. And as that, I talked to our director, Michael Mueller, the day of casting, and I expressed some concerns that I had over how certain statements would be conveyed, how certain choices would be conveyed, because I love Michael Mueller. But Michael Mueller does not have the same life experiences as me. And in a show that is so heavily involved with the trans experience, which is so heavily involved in what it means to express yourself and what gender is, whether it's something that other people put onto you or something that you express externally, we want to play with that line. And Michael, even though I love him, was not fully equipped to talk with that and to deal with that. And so I am here so that everyone can go out of this process, regardless of the script, regardless of what we do. I want every actor to leave this process going, I had a good time. I represented someone who was not only accurate, but was respectful and was truthful to myself. And so that's who I specialize in. The actors, the people behind the roles.
Well, I got to say, I appreciate Michael. I've met Michael on more than one occasion. I appreciate the fact that you could go and talk to him. You could express your concern. And like you said, maybe Michael couldn't relate to it because he's never been in that circumstance, which a lot of people couldn't because of that. And it's not an excuse, but it's a reality. Yet, he listened. That's one of the things, hopefully, all people learn in theater. We try to teach it here when we teach sports broadcasting. My number one rule in an interview is listen to what somebody tells you. Listen to what somebody has to say and go from there. And if you don't quite get it, grab that person at the end of the day. I mean, I would love to have everybody walk up to you, not discounting the rest of you, but I would love to have everybody walk up to you at the end of the play and go, so why this, or why that, or why this that they don't understand, and at least sit down and just be open and honest to listen.
Absolutely.
Doesn't mean they have to agree with you, but if you listen, you might understand. That doesn't mean when you understand something you'll side with somebody or you won't, or you'll side against them. It means, okay, I get the situation. It's not my cup of tea, but I get the situation. Which I think it's great.
As artists, what we can hope to do is start that dialogue.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
That's our biggest hope.
Exactly. So, when everybody at home right now watching Y Education sit there and go, Mark, why do you bring this up? Because to me, being an old guy, and I'm not going to be here forever. So listen clearly. It's time for all of us to grow up. I'm sorry, we haven't. Shame on you, education. You haven't taught our students properly. You haven't let them know that the world is about everybody, people you agree with, people you disagree with, people that come from different cultures and wonder what life was like in your culture. The difficulties that you might have had or didn't have, like you talked about your parents and what they went through. Sit down and talk to them. Or like the young man next to me, or the young, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that, young person. Thank you for correcting me. And sit down and talk to the young person next to me and go, boy, society has changed. Grow up and learn about what's out there. And don't be afraid of what you don't know. I mean, that's the biggest problem. I don't know anything about it. I don't want to know anything about it. I just don't like it. That isn't life. You've got to look at it and say, it's there. I have to deal with it. My children have to deal with it. And that's what I look at in this group because I'm the old guy. Their lives are important. If you're my age, hey, we had our shot. I'm going to be really honest. We had our shot. It's time to let them do what they think is right. And you know what? Cross your fingers and hope they make the right choices. That's the best way to look at it. I'm going to believe in them when they do it. So I appreciate what you do. Thank you very much. I'm going to thank you as an audience member for that. And I'm going to thank you for all the actors that don't get to experience that, which you have. I sit here and just go, wow, what a fantastic idea that we did. Now I get to the violent person of the entire plan. Now that I've taught peace, love, and everything else to everybody else, now we get to the violent person on here. And actor, besides somebody who's, I got to ask you, how did you get involved in the combat world? Because you're an assistant choreographer. So where's your background for the combat world to teach it to the rest of these wonderful artists?
Well, I started as a technician. And then back in high school, and then I went to college, and I was like, I'm done with theater. I need a real job that's gonna make me money. So I was gonna be an engineer, and then I hated that. And then I was gonna be a welder, and I was like, you know what? I'll take one more acting class, and then that'll get it out of my system, and I'll be done. And at the start of every spring or fall semester, we do a meet and greet. And so when I was in my acting class, I went to that meet and greet, and Michael Mueller came up on stage and was like, hey, last night we had auditions for this show called The Scarlet Letter, and we still need a couple more people, so anyone who wants to, come to callbacks and we'll see if you get a role. And also, I lead the stage combat department, so if you want to come to that, you can come talk to me. And so me, being in a welding class at the same time as auditions that night, and being in a math class that was at the same time as a stage combat class, I was like, well, maybe I'll just go talk to him, see what's about. I won't join. And immediately auditioned, got a ensemble role in the show, dropped my math class, went to the stage combat class, and then I've never really looked back since. Except when COVID happened, I gave up, became an EMT, hated that. now I'm back here.
But now you can do CPR.
So it helps when someone accidentally gets stabbed through the middle. I can be like, no, you're fine, you're fine. So
walk it off.
I've always been an athlete, so I really like using my body in physical ways. And so that first stage combat class I took was unarmed and knife, and it was just a lot of fun. I never really thought about acting in that way, coming from a technical background. And so I really enjoyed it. I love swords. My entire life, I've always loved swords. I have a collection of swords that aren't very usable, but they look cool. And so it was just basically a direct shot from my own interests into this theatrical world. So I really like playing with swords and also being able to perform for people. It's very fun.
So before I let you go, because we are at Fullerton College, and I'm an old alumni at Fullerton College Theater, and that's why we're here on Y Education, I always have to know. I know why I went here, because when I saw my very first play here, Todd Glenn had designed the set. I walked and looked at the stage and went, oh my God. It was the most perfect set I'd ever seen in my life. And all the years of working with Todd Glenn, yeah, Todd, if you end up watching this, I mean, his sets were magnificent. Then I got rolled over to Bob Jensen, who became the Dean of Fine Arts here. I got to do Bob's last interview here, and Bob, we know how good you were. And then I got taught acting by Gary Krinke and Tom Blank. So I know why I came to Fullerton College. You came to Fullerton College, why?
Whew, that's a tough.
Is that another 30 minutes? Ryan, this is going to be a three-parter.
No, I'll turn it down. I originally applied to Cal State University of Long Beach because my whole family graduated from there.
Good school. Good school.
Right, but once I got accepted, I was thinking about it, and I was like, I don't want to go here, at least not now. You know, because I heard that there was a free 2 years, and I was like, why would I go and pay for the first 2 years when I can just come somewhere else? So I applied here. I applied a little late, but you know, all my friends were coming here. Now it's just us two. So, but then I added friends, so it's but so I, you know, and yeah, I'm stuck here. It's my 4th year.
Oh, well,
so
you're not stuck here. You like
I'm not
being
stuck
here.
but I'm like, they're stuck with me. They're stuck with me. So yeah, it was a journey
There you
to
go.
get here. But yeah.
Why Fullerton?
So I'm actually a first generation college student. No one in my family's ever gotten to college.
Congratulations.
So both the I guess pride in doing it, but also the amount of pressure because they, you know, I have my grandparents. They didn't even graduate out of high school. And my mom, she took a gap year because of family issues. And then my 3 older siblings, they all went to high school and that was it. They went straight into working and I was like, I want to go to college and everything. But seeing as, you know, no one in my family went to college, they were like, I don't know. And I was like, all right, I'll try and figure it out. And then they were making so many recommendations, like Rio Hondo, like places I've never even heard of, or Cerritos College, which was around the corner from my high school. And I was like, I don't want to see any of these people here. I want new faces. And so my high school theater teacher, actually, she asked me, hey, Ashley, have you applied? And I was like, no, I don't know. And she was like, you're going to apply to Fullerton College. And I was like, okay, cool. And it was the best choice I've ever made because, like Jai said, our friend, like, our small friend group came here, and that's all I really needed. And then I heard the theater program was great here, and never looked back. And it's a very good college, like way better. Like it's not at all what I expected it to be, because like college, they're like it's big, it's scary, and you're gonna have to work and da 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 da. And I have had to work, but it's not what they were making it out to be. And so. I'm really happy to be here, you know.
Here
like,
you are.
Accomplishing what my family was unable to do.
Congratulations. Well, we know the doctor, lawyer, professor, engineer. That's why you came here, right? Because you could take like 12 majors at the same time.
No, it's actually quite, it was actually kind of by chance that I came here. Because what happened, well in Asian culture, when we apply to colleges, we mainly look at top schools only, such as like Ivy Leagues or just anything that has like top status. So I applied to a bunch of top schools like UCLA, UC Berkeley, UPenn, Princeton, Stanford, Harvard, all of those. And I did not get accepted to any of them. Half of it was on me. Half of it was because it's just something I didn't want to do, because I didn't want to be a doctor or a businessman. And so personally I knew if I got accepted into any of those Ivy Leagues, I would be trapped. And because those schools don't offer what I wanted to do, which was theater. And at the time, even though I had 0 theater experience at all, like nothing in terms of acting, I just thought that if I could at least get to UCLA, I can immediately and try out and change my major to theater and finally start experiencing what I always dreamed of, it only like watch interviews about, read about, and dream about. And so, so I did sabotage half of my own applications because I just decided to I mean, it was quite hard because I was in an after-school program that kept track of everything I did. So I wrote out a like good application essay, and I wrote a bad one, and I would have both, and then last second I'll switch it real quick.
Yeah.
And so
Nice.
that's when I guess my first step in terms of sneaking everything, because before I was kind of always eyed on. And then so how I wind up here at Fullerton College was because, well, there was a scholarship that was offered to at least if you were accepted or applied to community college. And so I applied here. And although I didn't think I was going to end up here at Fullerton College, because I was really hoping that UCLA would accept me so I could have that, go to a school with both a good medicine, business major, and a theater major. So I decided that was that one school that fit all of the criteria. But I didn't get accepted because my application was basically built on a lie. Because I did all these extracurriculars and programs to take all these AP classes on, trying what it takes to be a doctor or like a businessman. But I'm not meant for that, and I know it because, like after being through it, I know it's just not what I'm meant for. And so I just because I thank God I by chance decided to at least apply to Fullerton College for that scholarship, that I had at least a safety net. But by the time I found out of my entire all of my rejections, I was crushed. And then the only option left was Fullerton College, and I knew from then. I thought to myself that maybe it's better to come here to first try out theater, and then go on from then. And then coming here, I found out all about the benefits, and thinking back now, it's if not the best choice that I made or wind up now.
It was the best choice you made. I can tell you, if you went to UCLA, you wouldn't have been happy. I'm not picking on the program, but they look at freshmen. Freshmen don't get to do anything. At UCLA, you're not going to go on stage. You're not going to play a lead role. You're going to have to wait till at least your junior year to do that, unless you're working in the industry, and that means that's going to bring money to the school. So that doesn't happen at UCLA. I've had many students go to UCLA thinking they were going to do something. Same thing at NYU, unless you go into the theater program at NYU, and that's strictly for a theater degree, so it's a separate program at NYU. And all the classes you take are theater related, so you would take theater history classes, you would take theater math classes when you go to NYU. But UCLA, you'd have been theater math. You would take extremely disappointing classes at UCLA, and then you'd have said, why am I here? Why am I here? They're telling me I can't do this. So you made the right choice. Marion, I gotta ask you, the lead of the play. The lead, the star.
Stop. No, the star is the ensemble. No, I will say that this ensemble does work very, very hard, a lot harder than, I work hard 100%. I got a lot of lines, but as someone who grew up being in the ensemble, I will 100% say this ensemble kicks. Watch my language.
Yeah.
But
There you go.
they kick butt. They're moving the steps for us. They're putting if the leads can't put it proper way, they will put it away from us. Alex is an ensemble member, and he stays after so late to put our weapons away, make sure they're clean and everything. So I will 100% give all of the credit. No show is a show without an ensemble and a crew. So I will say that right now. I am not the star of the show. It is the ensemble.
Okay, all right.
Anyways, off that tangent.
So why Fullerton?
Why Fullerton? Well, I actually grew up in Los Angeles, over in the South Bay, like Palos Verdes, Torrance area.
Okay.
I was actually, area-wise, I was going to go to El Camino College, but my senior year, my stepdad got relocated for work, so we moved up to Yorba Linda. And I met a bunch of friends, and I was like, I heard about Fullerton College, and I was like, well, if I'm up here, might as well go there. I went to a high school that didn't really have a theater department. I did choir, hated it. I'm not a singer. I can do it, don't like it.
You can sing, but you're not a singer.
Yes, exactly. And I came here, I graduated in 2020, so I did my first year online. I didn't do any theater classes. I was like, I'm just gonna get all of my gen eds done. Hated it. hated it. And I was told actually by my counselor that last fall, none of the classes were going to be offered. And I was crushed. I was like, man, I'm going to change my major. I can't do this anymore. And then I was going through the catalogs and I saw that Theater 180 was in person. And I was like, really? I was like, really? And yeah, I ended up coming. My story is also very similar to Ashley's. I'm also a first generation Hispanic person. I'm first generation to go to college. A lot of my family members didn't graduate high school. My mom was a teen mom with my brother, so she immediately was working. My dad was a teenager in the 80s, so he just immediately started his own business. But because my mom had a child so young, it was my brother, she's always really wanted that for me, but she's never put that pressure on me, so it was my choice. My brother also didn't finish college, but my older cousin did. I have 2 older cousins that have gotten their degrees, and I do look up to them a lot, but they don't have a similar major to me. And my mom wasn't very happy about my major at first, but I have done theater for a very long time, and I was like, well, first of all, you're not paying for it. It is free, so I'm gonna do what I want to do. And yeah, I came here just because I've always, theater's been my thing. I am not good at math. I'm just not good at school in general. I'm really bad at turning in my homework. Really bad. Sorry, Michael. I'm sorry. Anyways, I'm really bad at turning in homework, and I just, like, if it doesn't interest me, I want no part of it. In high school, always, sorry mom, my grades were real bad in high school. Just because theater was always my #1 priority, and that's when I knew that I was put on this earth to entertain, and whoever's up there made me like this, and it is your fault. But I could not ask for a better path to be, because I met so many amazing people and some of my best friends doing theater, and like I said, I could not be more happy that I am where I am. I stayed an extra year. I got into Cal State Long Beach, and I said, sorry, I'm actually not gonna go. My mom also not happy. Sorry, mom. Anyways.
Yeah, you'll know your theater friends forever. I mean, the ones from '69, we still talk to each other all the time about what everybody does. We follow each other's careers and what they do. And yes, for all of you that say you're not good at school, well, first of all, theater does teach you math. If you are forced to go work in the shop, you will learn geometry. You will learn algebra. If you've ever worked with somebody who really knows their sets and says to you, understand something, this is what it has to be, and then when you put it together, it doesn't fit, and have a set designer stare at you because you couldn't measure, say I got a smiler over here, you couldn't measure out on a ruler what to do, or the yardstick, or handle a nail gun, or you watch somebody saw off the end of their finger in a shop. Because they run their hand through the guard. You will learn how to do everything. And yes, we did learn how to sew also while we were here. So we also, in the old days when Mella was here, who, you know, for those of you that don't know, she probably made the hats at the royal funeral, because she did all the hats for the royal weddings for England. Your old costume designer that was here. Yeah, some of the talent that was here. So when you say you don't know those things, yes, you do if you're a theater.
Oh, I struggled in costume. Let me tell you. Let me tell you.
You do know those things. When you all sort of make fun of yourself as being educated, theater will teach. I mean, lots of people even look at me today when we do the stuff we do and go, how do you know how to do that? And I go, I'm a theater guy. You know, it's like you were taught that in theater, the basics. And so everything you learn in school, you learn history. You learn people. You learn everything in theater. If you really are a theater person or somebody that works in cinema, you will learn everything. Well, you came back here. We know sort of why, because you wanted to be back in theater.
Yeah. So, like I mentioned, came here 2016. Couldn't pay for it myself. I didn't want to rely on my parents to do it. So currently I'm using the GI Bill to come back to college. But saying that, the government will pay for whatever college I want to go to. So why Fullerton? Easy answer, it's the closest one to home. I was raised in La Habra. Sister graduated from Cal State Fullerton. I'm hearing not so great things, maybe, about that school now. But I know Fullerton College. Grandma and Grandpa both came here in, I don't even know how long ago.
Oh, please. I probably went to school with them.
You probably did. Grandma and Grandpa both came here. They both recommended, hey, just go to Fullerton, get your GEDs out of the way while you figure out what you want to do with your life. So that was kind of it. I got out of the military December last year. I hopped on the Fullerton College page to register for my classes. I saw stage combat and I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then I started coming to class, and Professor Colin Bressie, he was like, you're not going to get this type of theatrical combat experience at this price anywhere else. Community college, it's relatively cheap compared to any other Cal State or an Ivy League school, or even just going to a stage combat workshop for 2.5 weeks to go get certified in a single weapon. We can do 2 weapons per semester for 3 credits, whatever that price is. $47 a credit times 3. I'm not that great at math either, but you weigh it out, you get all 12 weapon disciplines offered by the Society of American Fight Directors. You have professors who have been in and are still in the industry, so you can start making connections. Like you mentioned, you still talk to your theater friends. We're all going to go out into the industry. We're all going to know each other. Hey, if I need some advice for diversity, I'll hit up Ellie. If I need somebody to help me with stage combat, I can hit up Tobias, or I can hit up Alex. If I need actors, I can go to Bella, I can go to Ashley and Jai. I'm definitely going to reach out to them. I hope they reach out to me.
No.
I'm already throwing you in the pit now.
No, please, no.
Wait for that.
But ultimately, what drew me here, easy answer, it's close to home, 5-minute drive. What kept me here was the community that I was able to relatively easily step into despite having a different mindset going into it, because I had the fallback of I was already in theater from high school, so I'm not so much taking a step out of my mindset as I'm letting myself sit down back on the couch and just relax. I feel relaxed here, and that's what keeps bringing me back.
Excellent. Sir,
Well,
person.
thank you. I appreciate
All of a sudden
it.
realize, hey, I'm old, so it's going to take me a while, okay?
Why Fullerton? Well, I'm poor, so that's a big thing for me. But in all seriousness, since I've been working since I was 16. I've been working full-time, like hours, since I was 16. I started paying rent to my parents when I was 16. I moved out as soon as I turned 18 while I was still in high school. I've been living in apartments ever since. So I'm supporting myself through this. I'm working, like I work down at the pub, the old ship over there on Harbor. I have to work and do this just like I have to do theater. Those are 2 things that coexist for me, and this is the best space for me to coexist and do that. I can take classes here and learn things and get experiences and get recommendations and get places to go and audition. This summer, I just did my first professional theater show at the Garage Theater down in Long Beach. I got a recommendation from one of our professors, and from there I got my first hourly paid gig from my director of that program. So it's just branching out, and all of that branching out and all those skills I learned, I got here. And I think this program is truly fantastic. If you dive in to the certificates and what you can learn, I think it was Kevin Close who said during one of the meet and greets, you will do more here in your first year than you will do at any other university in 2 or 3. You will learn so much. I've been able to learn directing. I've been able to learn acting. By the end of this year, I should have 2 certificates in acting. By the end of next year, I should have 1 in stage combat as well. I adore this campus, and I adore being able to learn and better myself as an actor and as a creative. So it wasn't an option for me, it was the option for me.
Congratulations.
My answer is a little easier. I went to high school right across the street. Might as well go to ASU, across the street university. My parents went here, and I had a 2.6 GPA my senior year, so I was like, well, might as well not even try to apply. I'm just going to go across the street. So, and it's a good place.
All right. Well, I want to thank all of you for being on Y Education before I let you go. One thing I ask of all of you is you all love each other now. Please do me a favor if you do anything for the old guy. Love each other 30 years from now.
They're stuck with
You brought up the fact that you want to call people. A lot of us that went here to Fullerton College through the years, because a lot of people are very successful that have gone through these programs. Some have been very kind to other people. Some have been very cold to other people. Don't let the industry change you. Don't let the industry have you turn your back on a friend. Say, oh yeah, I remember you. You were guard number 1. Oh yeah, okay.
Who never dies.
Don't do that to each other. For me, believe in each other. Believe in yourself. It's a very tough business. Doing it for 37 years like I did. Nobody's a star overnight. Nobody's discovered at a malt shop. They do what you're doing, going out and doing productions and letting people see you and letting people know you, and 30 years from now, he's a success and everybody goes, God, he came out of nowhere. No, he did 150 shows, and those 150 shows helped him, how do I put that? As a pronoun. Them, thank you. As a success. So look at it that way. So be there for each other. Before I let you go, when do I want to go see a play?
All 3 days, October 6th, 7th, and 8th.
And what's the name of the play?
Marion, or the True Tale of Robin Hood.
And what do I want to go see?
What am I seeing? Oh.
I don't know.
Start the interview over again.
If you want to be technical, I'm not going to see it. I'm going to be in it.
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah, but
wanna come
people are
see-
watching us.
So if you want to come see it,
I will.
Fullerton College from October 6th to the 8th at 7:30 to watch Marion, or the True Tale of Robin Hood.
So I've got to be someplace on October 6th at 7:30 to see this group of people in what production?
Marion, the True Tale.
It's Toby's
of
turn.
Wait a minute. You're a guard that's just standing there. I'm coming to the leads, okay? Wow.
Toby got the legacy robe in the last show.
See, there we go.
A legacy right here.
Yeah. But yeah, come watch Miriam or the True Tale.
Miriam? My name is Marion.
It's falling apart.
I'm going to say,
Robin.
I don't know what you're supposed to see so far, but it is, Marion, why don't you give it to us and we'll let it go right there.
All right. If you all want to see me get flipped upside down, come see Marion or the True Tale of Robin Hood, October 6th through 8th. There's a lot of swords, a lot of punches, a lot of falling. There's a pit, big one, that I'm not going into. But come see Marion or the True Tale of Robin Hood so you can see all these fantastic people, all of their hard work. Big thank you to Michael and our crew, our stage management. You guys are all awesome, and a special big thanks to my ensemble members. Everyone is awesome. Thank
Well,
you.
all I can say is what a fine group of people you would meet here if you had the opportunity. Take a little time out and visit with all of them. You're going to find them all over there in the theater department every day, or out in front of the radio station on the bench out there. Take a time to talk to them. And some of the subjects we brought up today, I hope you take enough time out to say, guy, I know you learned something today. I know you were corrected a couple times on the air, and thank you. I appreciate that, because like everybody else out there, we can always learn every day. We can always become better people if you want to be. What a fine group of youngsters you will meet here. These are the stars of the future. These are the people that someday you're going to turn around and go, that old guy, sometime, some way, and they're going to remember sitting here and say, you know, remember when we used to, because I've met people like that. This is a great group. They're a great group of performers. They're bright, they're articulate, they're fun, and they love what they do. And if you give me that on stage, then I'm going to have a great time watching the play on October 6th at 7:30, Fullerton College. Make sure you're there. Let's make it sell-out crowds. I want to thank all of you. Michael, thank you. I know this was supposed to be 30 minutes, but hey, you just discovered that I can out-talk this entire group on sitting there. And Michael, thank you for introducing me to this entire group of wonderful young individuals that have taught me something today about myself and about what's going on here on Y Education on 90.1 KBPK.